Hey everybody, it is Sunday morning and we are going to take an early morning yard tour. Well, it's not that early, it's about 9:30 in the morning, but we're going to take a morning yard tour rather than an afternoon yard tour today. And I know I've been saying that our yard is about to explode into flower, and it is not quite there yet, but we are going to get sort of the last update before the explosion occurs. We're going to have so many flowers, it's going to be unbelievable here very soon. But we did a lot of work yesterday, and we're going to get caught up on some of the things we did and just have a look around the yard in general. So this, of course, is my pond. We have some potted plants around here, but I put a few new hostas in. This is I want to say it's a Mexican geranium I just planted. We've got some bulbs that are coming up back here. We put this celosia, these red plants, we put these around here recently. We also have these little orange, they almost look like miniature little sunflowers, and they are just so bright and cheery here in front of the pond. So we're looking forward to those filling in, and we got a few more plants along here that we've put in that are getting ready to go. So you can see some of the foxglove are already finishing up, but as we start looking around, these are coreopsis. Blueberry bushes are laden with blueberries. My wife likes to try to prevent the catbirds from eating all of them, and so those in the mesh there are going to be for her, but the catbirds are pretty much welcome to the rest of them. We have the blueberry bush there, and this is another blueberry bush that's pretty laden with blueberries this year, so the catbirds have been having a feast on those. But if we start looking around, we will notice that we have all of these echinacea, we have phlox, all these little upright spikes are phlox. We have more of the echinacea, which are also known as coneflowers. We have the purple coneflowers, we have the orange coneflowers. We've got the rudbeckia, which is the Maryland state flower that is also known as black-eyed Susan. And again, you can just see all these coneflowers and all these phlox, more phlox. All these tiger lilies are going to start blooming anytime now. All of this stuff here is getting ready to go. We have decided that eventually this whole hill, I know it's kind of hard to tell, but this is a fairly steep hill. It's hard to mow, and it comes down to about right here. And all of this, we're just going to sort of work in what we've been doing up here, which is the phlox, the daylilies, the hostas, the ferns. What else are we putting up there? Again, the echinacea, rudbeckia, foxglove. We're just covering that whole area, and we're going to leave this walkway through here. So I put this hosta in yesterday. This is going to be kind of the point where the path comes out, and we're going to use sort of this line here where these that wood is, and so we're going to make sort of a path that comes down through there. But the rest of this hill, all the way down more or less right into this area here, all of this is eventually just going to be completely covered with vegetation like that. So when I keep talking about the phlox getting ready to bloom, if you're not familiar with what phlox look like, those are phlox, and we are just going to have them all throughout the place. Of course, we also have hostas all throughout the place, and those are all going to be blooming very soon. We have daylilies everywhere. They're going to be blooming soon. Again, you can see these foxglove are almost finishing up. They start flowering at the bottom and they work their way up, so we got about that much more, and then this one will be done. That one's almost to the top already. This is a new plant we got yesterday. Really interesting color. Not even sure how to describe that color, but it is a really beautiful salvia. We also have a lot of salvia around the yard too, so that'll look nice. That's just a clover, but has a pretty flower on it. And these are wild impatiens. Sometimes they're referred to as lady slippers. And we've got a bunch of those all through here coming out. And again, the foxglove, the echinacea, the rudbeckia, all of that is going to be exploding into flower here anytime now. And I started yesterday, we started moving some more hosta down, we started moving some daylilies, and again this whole hillside is just going to be covered with all of that. So if we come over here, more rudbeckia. This is the black-eyed Susan. That's all going to be blooming here. We have milkweed. That's going to be blooming. The sage. Of course, we've got, you know, petunias, lots of annuals all around. Those are all going to be blooming here pretty soon. Not a lot going on over here, but you can see daylily spikes. Some stuff back here. These are 4 o'clocks. These will start to bloom pretty soon. We have some cosmos that are blooming already. And then this is going to be spectacular. We actually have to get in here this year and thin this out, and a lot of this is going to get moved up onto that hill we were just looking at. So if you look through here, you can start to notice there's flower spikes everywhere. This is just going to be so many daylilies blooming through here. And then of course these are the tiger lilies. We're going to have those blooming. We got more of the echinacea, or that's probably echinacea. Echinacea and rudbeckia are very, very similar looking. So we've got our little fish planter swimming in the sea of creeping Jenny. Some more planters here. That hydrangea is going to be in full bloom anytime now. And our yard is also lined with Rose of Sharon's. So about midsummer, all of these trees all around the driveway, all along the top of the yard, we're going to have tons and tons of Rose of Sharon's blooming here pretty soon. We've got our clematis, or a clematis, depending on how you choose to pronounce that. I always say clematis, but a lot of people say clematis. So that's not my favorite one, but it does okay. Again, more tiger lily. We've got that everywhere. These are 2 new hydrangea trees we just put in last autumn, so this will be our first year getting to see those bloom. I'm kind of excited about that. Not a lot going on down the driveway, a lot of hostas and stuff, just sort of green filler just to go down the driveway. We don't do a whole lot down there necessarily. Over here likewise we got a lot of sedum, but also echinacea, rudbeckia, daylilies, hostas, all the same stuff. All that's going to be getting ready to go here. We've got a huge spike on our butterfly bush, so hopefully we'll have that blooming pretty soon. We'll have some butterflies hanging around on that. This is the clematis that I really like. That is a gorgeous clematis there. So the other thing we've decided to do, we don't use our yard for anything. We don't have kids, we don't have a dog, we don't play volleyball, we don't do cookouts, we don't do Easter egg hunts. There's just no reason to have all the yard that we have. The grass doesn't grow very well because it's so shady. You can see the sun more or less. Again, this is the midsummer. We're almost at the solstice, and the sun will track above the tree line, but most of the year the sun goes behind those trees, and because of that our yard just does not get a lot of sun. In fact, this little area that we're standing in is kind of the sunny part of the yard. It gets a few hours a day. The rest of it is shady, and as you know, a result of that, we have really terrible lawn. It's more moss than grass, and it's just a kind of a pain in the butt to even bother to mow. So we're not going to anymore. We're going to start plugging in hosta and daylily and the whole 9 yards. Again, we're just going to sort of just expand everything out. This big patch right here, that's all going to be tiger lilies. Most everything over here is already done. We'll get some flowers on the hosta, but that's not that, you know, impressive or whatever. Of course, the azaleas are already done, so on and so forth. So we'll start allowing the fern to come down. We'll start allowing the hosta and everything to start moving down. And hopefully this whole side of the yard over here will eventually be, you know, more or less looking like the rest of the yard garden. So this is the top side. We can just have a quick walk along here, get a look from down on top. This is where my wife was working yesterday. She got a lot done too. All this got cleared out. This is that green. We have so much of this green hosta. It's this stuff here. It self-propagates, and it grows everywhere in the yard. My wife hates it. I mean, we have it everywhere. If you look, almost all of this is that green hosta. And again, it self-propagates, and so as the seed heads come up and then they fall down, they go downhill, and so this has basically been flowing down the hill over the years, and so we're just going to sort of help it along from now on. But my wife got in here and cleared all this out. She laid these logs in here and is going to make sort of a tiered area. This has always been kind of a gap. Look, the little Omen came out to join us. This has always been sort of a gap between this garden bed and this garden bed, and so now we're just going to sort of fill it in. Once upon a time, I used to actually be able to drive my lawn tractor down between these two garden beds, and this whole section here was hill. The bottom edge right here is where this garden, bed stopped. So all of that has just sort of gotten there on its own and just sort of flowed down that hill. So let us continue. That was some big changes we did yesterday. All this hosta self-propagated too. I actually got in here yesterday and dug a huge chunk out just to start plugging into the hill, but all this hosta has just grown in there all by itself. And again, you can see all that green hosta. So we have a lot of the green stuff, and then we have a lot of this sort of blue hosta with the more round leaves. We actually like this hosta. This is a good looking hosta. It's just this awful green stuff that I like it. My wife doesn't. Anyway, moving on. So again, just kind of up here looking down on everything. That Japanese maple tree, or Acer if you prefer, is about couple years old now, maybe pushing 25 years old. We bought it right after we moved out here 23 years ago, and it was already a couple years old when we bought it. The guy had been growing it out in a planter, so we paid $20 for that, and it looks amazing. Very, very well spent $20 there. Hydrangea's getting ready to bloom any day now, and of course all this stuff is hosta too. All these trees you can see along here are the Rose of Sharon's. We got another Rose of Sharon here, we got more down there, so all that's going to be flowering. If we look at the top side of our sort of tiered garden over here, all of this is gooseneck loosestrife, and that will all be blooming soon. We have the hydrangea. We've got, again, echinacea, daylilies, etc., all that's going to be blooming through here. We have the tail end of some foxgloves. These are really pretty flowers. I really like the foxglove. That is also digitalis. So if you take heart medication called digitalis, then it comes from this plant. And it has a beautiful flower on it there. So a lot of sedum, a lot of coral bells, or if you prefer heuchera. My wife calls it heuchera, I call it coral bells. But we have a few over here. Again, hostas, all that good stuff that's getting ready to bloom, etc. But I also like these wild daisies that are growing. We never planted these just sort of appeared here, so we let them do their thing because they're pretty. All right, this bed over here is where we've been focusing and doing a lot of work. This is going to be a little less showy and flowery over here, but it's still very pretty, and we could take quite a long time on this bed by itself. So we have some new plantings here. We've got some stuff planted in there that I don't think is going to come up. We have a suspicious looking pile right here that has suspicious looking scrape marks, so I think one of the cats has been working in the bed over here, so we'll have to see if we didn't get anything dug up or unplanted. Cats will do that sometimes. Don't know what these are called, but I really like these two. They have these little almost firework looking flowers that pop off the top like that. Again, I have no idea what that's called. This is a new bush we just put in. I've been working on trying to get this little Japanese fern and creeping Jenny to go. That's been in there for a couple years now. It's starting to establish and take off, but I want it to sort of grow all over this log here eventually. This is where we've got much more of the heuchera, again, coral bells. Can't remember what this is called. It's not button flower, but it's something similar to that. This is a Boom Chocolata geranium. That's brand new. That's why I know the name of that one. This is chocolate astilbe. We have a lot of astilbe over in this garden. You can see more of this beautiful coreopsis blooming right now. That's a lovely little dainty flower on top of a dainty little plant. More coral bells. We have more hostas and ferns over here than you can shake a stick at. I'm not going to even try to remember all the different names of the ferns and whatnot. Again, tons of different astilbe. Got more astilbe up here. We also have a lot of false astilbe or goat's beard. So daylilies, more hostas. We have a tree fern right there. We actually harvested that, I'll say, from an outdoors location, an undisclosed outdoors location. So we brought home some tree fern. That's doing well. Some of the hostas are already starting to bloom. You can see some flowers on these. But if you really start getting into the nitty-gritty of this bed, we have the Japanese painted fern, the astilbes. We have these little micro ferns here. This one is called Wee. We have this in several places. We've been propagating that, and that is actually what it's called, W-H-E-E-E-E-E with an exclamation point. We have these mouse ears and these little micro ferns, tiny little micro ferns there. We've got some stuff planted back here, and eventually we're going to work it all the way back towards the fence. I guess you can see the fence right there. That's our property line. Oak leaf hydrangea. I believe this fern is either the Enterprise or the Captain Kirk. We have two of them. One is called Enterprise and one is called Captain Kirk. We used to have them planted right next to each other, but that was a while ago. They've been sort of moved around. If you look around, you'll start to notice little stuff tucked in here and there. This is a new plant we just planted called Bear's Breeches. I'm really interested in seeing how that one develops. One of my customers has that, and I really like the way it looks, so I think it's going to look good in here. Of course, you can see a lot of the astilbe is already in flower. In the late afternoon, this garden actually gets some sun on it. So this time of year, it comes up over there, because pretty much all the way across the sky. And in the late afternoon, when it's all the way over there, the sun shines in low, and we actually get late afternoon sun on all this stuff. And when the sun's shining on it, it's absolutely beautiful. So you can see the more astilbe flowers there. This is the false astilbe, or the goat's beard. So you can see these little flowers here. We have more of the hosta flowers, more astilbe and goat's beard. So this little area is where the missus was also working yesterday. This is actually getting prepped. Some stuff is getting ready to go in here that we're in the process of acquiring. Excuse me. And so we're still just sort of filling this area in. More goat's beard. This is another, I can't remember what this one is, but this one's brand new too. We just put that one in and established. This, I believe, is more of that Captain Kirk, or maybe possibly that's the Enterprise. I don't know. It looks very similar. Here again is more of that Wee. We got that several different places. This is, I can't even remember what this is. I want to say it's Praying Hands. And you can see more astilbe, and we've got some stuff going on down there. More astilbe. This is euphorbia. We've got some azalea bushes around. Apparently the little old man's going to almost kind of walk with me, but he's not going to quite walk with me today. Oh, look. A daylily is blooming. So our daylilies are right on the cusp of blooming. The reason I was pointing out late afternoon is this astilbe in particular, when the sun is shining on that, and there's almost a little spot of it, you can see right over here. I wish the sun was shining right there. That is so vibrant and beautiful when the sun is shining on it. It's absolutely amazing looking. So I'm not sure where the cat's making his way to now, but he's definitely not coming over here to spend time with us. So like I was saying, if you start noticing, you look in here and look in there, you look down here, there's another one of those wee hostas down there. This little point on this bed has tons of these little micro hostas. That's actually a hosta, believe it or not. These are all hostas, tiny little things, and when you look at them, you can see they've got tiny little flower spikes all over them. Look at these little flower spikes. So we're gonna have these little tiny hosta flowers popping up back here. This is another one. I think this is the Captain Kirk again. There's a little stilby tucked in right there. We have one hosta up here. Here's some more of these micro hostas. You can almost not even see these. But no, I said those other ones were the praying hands, and they are not. These are the praying hands. You can hardly even see them. We need to move these, but this is a hosta right here, and we do have these in a couple other little spots right up in this bed. There's a couple of those little praying hands hostas. And this is our oak leaf hydrangea. We just put that in last year, or possibly the year before now. I lose track of time, but that's established and doing well. Again, hosta spikes, flower spikes all over everything. Now see, this one looks like that normal green one, but it is not. It's different. Look at how purple the stems are on this. It makes it completely different than just this bland, nothing green one that we have everywhere. That stuff grows everywhere. We have so much of that. But again, you see these, and they have that nice purple stem to them. Very different, very interesting. Autumn fern. We got some more autumn fern here. This batch looks really good. We have Japanese ghost fern. We have Japanese painted fern. We have Korean fern. We have rock fern, or Korean rock fern. We have all kinds of stuff over here once you really start digging around and looking into the beds and whatnot. So that's about it. We could continue around and look at a few other little odds and ends, but most of the stuff on the planter's bench has now made its way into the ground. And the rest of the stuff we have is just little planters sitting around, hanging baskets, that sort of thing, little patches like this. That's all tiger lily. Those are all house plants that we leave out for the summer under the tree here so they don't get over sunned. They don't get too much sun on them. And then in the fall we'll bring them back inside. And of course we have all these little beds around all the different trees and stuff. That's all just hostas and lilies. We do have some lilies that have started to bloom. So we are getting there, very close. Our Floribunda roses here are blooming, and these smell absolutely amazing. Yeah, that smells so good. And then of course this is our blueberry bush. You can see it's got the blueberries all over it, what's left of it from the catbirds eating it. This spirea, that's all sort of blooming right now. You can kind of see it's got a little bit of color when you really see where it's open, but a lot of these have already done and passed their prime and they're drying up now. Did you again, little old man? What are you doing, boy? All right, and that brings us back to where we started. So I'm going to say thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that. Encourage you to subscribe, because in about a week all of this stuff is going to start really exploding, and we'll actually get to see all of the flowers that I was telling you are going to be here. So trust me, if you come back in a week or two when I do my next update and yard tour, you will get to see much more in the way of bright, pretty flowers blooming everywhere. So thanks again for watching this one. Make sure you're subscribed. Don't forget to check out my other channel, Everyday Fish Keeping, if you're interested in tropical fish. So thanks for watching, and I will see you real soon on the next one.